Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Hey, I'm back. Gonna be back. Want to go ahead and do a little bit of a follow-up from a team and a program that we've talked about a lot over the last couple weeks, and obviously a lot coming out of last Saturday. That is the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and that man right there, Matt Rhule. So if you've listened to this channel at all, ever heard me talk about Nebraska, you know I got myself a little bit of a soft spot in my heart for Nebraska football. I'm not from Nebraska. I'm not a fan. Didn't grow up in Nebraska, but I am a child of the 90s. I got some gray hairs coming in here to prove it. Going to get my hair cut here in just a few minutes. That's neither here nor there. But I bring it up because I'm a child of the 90s. And when I came up as a college football fan, Nebraska was in the conversation every single year if they weren't just outright winning national championships. Some of my earliest memories are those late Tom Osborne teams that, of course, ripped off 3 titles in a 4-year stretch in the 1990s. So I am somebody that's always believed, okay, if there is ever a moment in time where they get the right coach, and this is, over the last 10, 15 years, I said Nebraska will get back. And I really thought, especially in the NIL portal era, where, an Alabama, a Georgia just can't stack their roster player. Like I just said, get them the right coach. At this moment in time, I think Nebraska will be very good. Well, as we saw on Saturday, Nebraska is absolutely going in the right direction, destroying Colorado. And even if you don't think Colorado is good, feels pretty obvious that they got the right coach, this is the right program, and that this thing is a powder keg ready to explode. And so what I want to do today, a little bit of a quiet time. We already reacted to last weekend. We're still a couple days away from football again on Saturday. I want to react to an article that I saw in The Athletic on Wednesday morning called "Nebraska is Relevant Again. Here's how Matt Rhule made the Cornhuskers cool." Because I thought this article perfectly encapsulated who Nebraska is and why I believe Matt Rhule is the perfect person for this job at this time, and why I believe there is zero doubt in my mind that he is going to get this program back to national prominence. First thing that stood out about the article, I think we all see from a distance how awesome Nebraska is as a fan base and as a game day experience, whatever. But hearing from people that had never really experienced it before, I thought it was a very interesting insight into that program. Like I said, there's no doubt we know the history of that program. And how I know that Nebraska has amazing fans? Do you guys and girls know about the sellout streak that's been going on since the 1960s? We referenced it the other day. Whenever you have a sellout streak that's going on, I don't want to age anybody. What is it, 60 plus years since the last time Nebraska didn't sell out a game? By the way, that's an especially incredible thing to consider when you factor in that they haven't had a winning season since 2016. Sorry, Nebraska fans, sorry to bring it up. But I just bring it up because it speaks to this fan base, and I thought it was interesting hearing from people in this article that are just kind of getting the feel for what makes Nebraska special. First of all, thought this was very interesting. So Troy Dannen is the AD at Nebraska, okay? And why that's important, it's kind of crazy. So obviously the previous AD left for Texas A&M a few months ago. Troy Dannen had never gone to a Nebraska game before the week 1 game against UTEP, and then certainly, obviously, the follow-up game with Colorado this week. But what was interesting was he mentioned in the article, early in the season, or early in the kind of the preseason, I guess you would say, maybe summertime, whatever, he had kind of a sit down with Matt Rhule of like, what can we do to enhance the game day experience? Then Troy Dannen got himself a look at the first Nebraska game, that he had ever been to. And this was kind of interesting. He said his exact quote was, I want to make sure I find it. This is what he said. This is the AD who had never seen a game there. He said, "It was spectacular. I honestly don't know how that atmosphere could be better." So the first time that he ever goes to a game, it's as the AD, and he's like, dude, I've been doing this forever, and I don't think it could actually get any better than that. Thought it was interesting, by the way. There was another great quote in this article from Jamal Banks, wide receiver who transferred from Wake Forest. He said, Saturday against Colorado was nothing like I've ever seen before, nothing I've ever been part of. This is a guy who has played multiple years, Power 5, now Power 4 football. So it speaks to how good the fan base is. But really, the deeper you get into this article, it's really, I think, a profile of the entire athletic department, kind of from a 360-degree angle. But the deeper they get into Matt Rhule, the more it is just so obvious that this guy is perfect for the job. And I remember it was funny, during the summer, he did an interview, with Joel Klatt. And even then you could just see, it's like, dude, we know the history of this guy, but he was just so confident. So, again, confident is the right word, not cocky, but confident that it was going to get done. And of course, even when guys like me say something positive, oh, I think Matt Rhule might be the guy, you always get the outsiders, oh, you guys in the media, you've been talking about Nebraska forever. And it was like, if you watch the interview, you could see he's like, we didn't fire our coaching staff. I've never fired a coach after the first year. We were right on the cusp. We turned the ball over too much, but we know we're right there. And so I bring it up because it was very interesting to read the article, to read the swag that Matt Rhule kind of has behind the scenes. By the way, I thought there was swag on Saturday night when he was talking about the game, and he was asked about it. He said, yeah, it wasn't even really competitive in the second half. He said something to that effect. But they also kind of went in on a story about some things that he handled behind the scenes. This is Matt Rhule. And one of them was Terrence Bud Crawford, okay? So Bud Crawford, the boxer, he's from Nebraska. He's a Nebraska fan. And Matt Rhule found out that he wanted to be at the game against Colorado. And I think, and I don't think, I know this because I know coaches. There's a lot of coaches that, hey, that's cool. We'll get you on the Jumbotron, whatever. And you don't really think about it. And then you go back to game planning and what are we going to do on third down? And what about the red zone and this and that? And they said that like Matt Rhule got on the phone with Bud Crawford and his people to make sure that everything was taken care of, to make sure that he was just basically ready to go, and that anything that he needed, one, was going to be taken care of, but then two, just that it was the most positive experience for him possible. By the way, Bud Crawford did speak to the team. I like this quote from Matt Rhule where he said something to the effect of, yeah, I just want to let the kids know we got celebrities here at Nebraska too, which, listen, I'm a Coach Prime defender. It's getting harder and harder to defend Coach Prime. But I bring it up because that felt like a little bit of a subtle jab at Deion Sanders, but whatever. But again, to me, it speaks to Matt Rhule understanding the holistic view of what it takes to run a program. We know the backstory. We know, the quote, the term program builder has always been associated with him. I get that. We know the history, obviously going from 2 wins to 10 in year 3 at Temple, 2 wins in year 1 at Baylor to 11, or 2 wins in year 1 at Baylor to 11 in year 3 there. So we know it's going to happen at some point, but I just thought it was really interesting and an interesting insight into him. And then what was also interesting was his chief of staff, someone named Susan Elza, basically confirmed it. She said, and this was a great quote as well. I love this quote from him. She said, I think this is what makes him unique. You're going to have head coaches that are just outstanding on the field, but they let everybody else do all the little stuff. He has a gift, but I think that's just who he is. Lastly, and this was another interesting thing, I love Matt Rhule had a great quote in this article that I just absolutely positively loved. So he was talking about the program, how much a stage like Saturday meant for him. And I bring it up because he was asked a little bit about it, and he said his vision for the program was pretty straightforward. I love this one sentence answer. I guess it's 2 sentences. Sorry. I only speak for a living. You think I could count to 2 and figure out where the period ends? Anyway, it said, this was the sentence. He said, we are always relevant here, talking about Nebraska, but I need to be relevant in all 50 states. And I just think that is an interesting way of looking at things, because to me, what's always, we know the history of Nebraska, a lot of great players from the state have played there, walk-on program, whatever. But what Matt Rhule said, and he has said this pretty consistently since he took this job, is there's no reason this place can't be rocking like it was back in the day when guys like me were just first starting to watch college football. But I think it's interesting that he said, we got to be relevant in all 50 states. And it feels like Saturday, if that was the first step, I don't know if it was the first step, Maybe the Raiola commitment was the first step. I don't know. But it sure does feel like they are getting there. Thought it was a national stage, thought everybody was tuned in. Think there were a lot of fans of college football that had maybe forgotten how awesome Nebraska was. I saw Joel Klatt say, dude, I played there twice. If that place is rocking, good load. I think the load with a couple of W's was in there. Like, oh my goodness, that place is incredible. But what is interesting is it's cool because you're starting to see that Matt Rhule vision come to fruition. Thought it was interesting. They had a lot of recruits on campus this weekend. One of them, I'm not a recruiting expert, but Michael Terry, a 5-star athlete from Texas. Everything had him trending to Texas before this visit. Well, guess what? There's a little bit of buzz now that Nebraska has kind of gone up in that pecking order and that they might be a factor in this recruitment going forward. Kid from Texas could go to Texas and instead is seriously considering Nebraska. By the way, thought it was interesting over the course of this summer, the David Sanders recruitment, for people who don't remember, number 1 offensive tackle in the country. But he was a guy that was trending towards Tennessee. That last weekend before recruiting ended for the summer was late July. He did go to Tennessee. This is David Sanders now, but did come out to Nebraska. And I remember seeing videos of that at the time. And, he's walking in the facility with Dylan Raiola. And there were I don't want to put a number out there that's ridiculous, but a lot of fans that just knew he was going to be at the facility at that time. And they showed up and they wanted to make him feel at home. And you could just see the love that he had for the fans. And listen, the kid ultimately committed to Tennessee. I think there was a little bit too much ground to make up. But these are the types of things that were not happening a year ago, 5 years ago, probably 10 years ago as well. And it speaks to the fact that Matt Rhule, listen, I think he is going to do this. I think he is going to make Nebraska relevant in all 50 states. They're getting kids on campus they've never gotten before. And listen, I'll tell you this, and again, it's my bias being an old guy that did watch this team in the 90s and early 2000s, is I think if you watch that game on Saturday with Colorado, how could you, if you're an elite recruit, not want to at least experience it? Now, there's a lot of great game day experiences in college football. So I'm not saying that every recruit should only want to go to Nebraska, but I'm just saying, if you are one of those caliber recruits, how could you not want to at least experience Nebraska? So Matt Rhule saying, man, oh man, we got to be relevant in all 50 states. I think he is well on his way to doing that. And that Nebraska scene was awesome. The only thing I'm mad about with Nebraska, I'll be honest, is, what's the deal? Like we need some more big games. I need another big home game. We got Northern Iowa and then a couple quiet weeks, Big Ten play opens at Purdue, whatever. I just bring it up. We need more big games at Nebraska. Cannot wait to see the evolution of this program. And we talked about it on Monday's Aaron Torres pod. I'm not putting it out into the ether. I know Nebraska fans would be happy with a bowl game after all these losing seasons. But look, you look at Penn State's a little bit, Michigan's for sure a little bit down. I know Nebraska doesn't play them, but Penn State looked really good one week, didn't look as good last week. And so is there a path to 9-3, 10-2, putting yourself in that playoff conversation? It sounds crazy. We're putting the cart before the horse, but I just cannot wait to see this Matt Rhule experience at Nebraska. By the way, Nebraska fans, if you made it to the end, we are selling the Aaron Torres Pod merchandise store. New era, new rules. We actually sold quite a few of them over the weekend. If you are a Nebraska fan, this is the must-have t-shirt. You can get it at aarontorresonline.com/merchandise. And I'll throw a link in the show description as well so you have it. New era, new rules. Shout out to Matt Rhule. We're relevant in all 50 states, baby. And that was a fun game to watch.